if I was speaking to my 20-something self, I would I would probably encourage them to study the essence of monetary economics, Austrian economics, and what is money, because I think that most of us don't consider what money is, and I think oftentimes, like I was raised in a family, like there's a Christian trope: money is the root of all evil. Right. There's a large segment of our civilization where people say money is the root of all evil. You shouldn't want it. And then the rest of the civilization doesn't know what it is, and they don't think much about it. But actually, monetary economics have determined the rise and fall of empire after empire after empire. And not if you don't fully grasp it, you can work 10 times harder and still fail. And so no amount of expertise and hard work and discipline and luck will save you from a lack of understanding of monetary economics and the consequences of a exponentially decaying currency. So I would probably hand myself a book on Austrian economics and say, focus upon this and understand the implications. But I'm ashamed to say I really came late in life to an appreciation of how important this is. Better late than never, but I spent a lot of time focused upon other things. You could be the best business person in the world and a genius in every respect, but if the economic system around you collapses, it was all for naught.
Welcome back to the channel. Aaron here from the Bitcoin Bros. Hope you enjoyed that Saylor clip. And as you see right here at strategy.com, MicroStrategy closed yesterday at 326.92. They now have 478,000 BTC, soon to be 500K. Definitely think they're going to hit that 500K Bitcoin mark this year. Their Bitcoin net asset value is around $46 billion. You still have a MNAV of around 1.99, and the implied volatility is down to 72%. Their historic volatility over the past 30 days is 108%. So if you are a trader and you expect a big move in Bitcoin or MicroStrategy over the next month or so, or a couple of months, right now may be a good time to go put some calls and put some puts in, because when that implied volatility goes up, those options get a lot more expensive. That we've seen that in the past. And also we've seen that monthly return over the past 3 months actually go negative now. So a potential buy the dip opportunity while MicroStrategy is still down here around $300. Going to be getting into some more Bitcoin MicroStrategy updates. Stay tuned for everything. I also have a clip at the end I want to share with you guys. But this post here from Jeff Walden, I wanted to share it with you. He's giving his 12-year Bitcoin and MicroStrategy compounded annual growth rate hypothetical. So in his first scenario, he's saying Bitcoin at a 25% CAGR gives it a market cap of around $28 trillion, 1.33 million per Bitcoin. And that would be by 2037, the year. And you can see here MicroStrategy at a 1.5x, which would give it around a 37.5 CAGR. Its market cap would be around 3.7 trillion. $12,783 per MicroStrategy share. And here's the kicker. Bitcoin's CAGR over the past 5 years has been 63.5%. So that's with a CAGR of 25%. You can see where that puts MicroStrategy, and how buying MicroStrategy today at $300 would be a great move. Obviously, this is financial advice. And then he goes into a second scenario where Bitcoin's CAGR is 50%. That's going to put Bitcoin at $11.7 million. That'll give MicroStrategy a 75% CAGR, which will give a market cap of $68 trillion, $234,937 per MicroStrategy share. So those are major price targets for MicroStrategy. And if they didn't add any additional Bitcoin with both of these scenarios, in scenario 1, their Bitcoin would be worth 637 billion. In scenario 2, their Bitcoin would be worth 5.6 trillion. So this shows the long-term potential of MicroStrategy and Bitcoin. And if you believe Bitcoin is going to prices like this, you should still hold your MicroStrategy. That is not financial advice. And then we got some news updates here from the traditional markets. January PPI inflation unexpectedly rises to 3.5%, above expectations of 3.2%. Core PPI inflation was 3.6%, above expectations of 3.3%. PPI inflation is now at its highest since February of 2023, while CPI jumped 0.5% month over month. So this is not good. You can see here, they also say to make things even worse, so December core PPI inflation was rise higher from 3.5% to 3.7%. So I know this doesn't matter in the long term, but this is definitely going to affect the market in the short term. But if we continue to see inflation go up like this month over month for the next quarter or so, the Fed's going to step in and they're going to raise interest rates. And if they do that, the market's probably going to sell off. And I'm not saying that inflation is going to continue to go up. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen over the next quarter. But if it does and the Fed comes in and raises interest rates, we'll definitely see a sell-off in all markets. And that's just my personal opinion. And then we can see here a true inflation that's actually dropping. You can see they have gone from back in January 30th of around 2.66 inflation index all the way down to 2.06%. And they put out an interesting chart, and they also commented on this, and they said you should not be worried about this uptick in CPI and PPI inflation, because we have noticed that there's an average lead time of 45 days. So when true inflation goes up, there's a 45 lead day where then we see CPI and PPI go up. And right now we're seeing on true inflation a massive drop off in their inflation index reading for the United States. So this may show in the future we may be getting some lower CPI, some lower PPI numbers instead of the runaway inflation to the upside that everybody is scared of. So this is just something to think about here. Truflation saying don't worry about these CPI, PPI readings, and Truflation saying basically don't worry about these CPI, PPI readings. The Truflation index start of the year at 2.77% has plummeted to 2.11%. Thus, if the index remains a good inflation forecaster, CPI growth could fall significantly by April and May. Regarding tomorrow's CPI report, the Truflation's gauge's recent decline will likely not show up in the January data the BLS will report due to the 45-day lag. So they're saying that don't worry about this short-term CPI, PPI reading. Wait until April or May, and we could see CPI down even further than what it is today. But let's go ahead and get into some Bitcoin updates here. Oklahoma to buy up to $1.5 billion in Bitcoin if the bill is passed. So another strategic Bitcoin Reserve Act from a state. Oklahoma could be buying some huge amounts of Bitcoin if they pass that bill. And then New Mexico actually is trying to get a bill passed for a strategic Bitcoin Reserve Act. So this is just another state that you can add to the list now. And then you have Jet King Ltd. This is the first Indian publicly traded company to adopt a Bitcoin treasury strategy. They increased their hold to 15 Bitcoin. And then Critical Metals, they announced a Bitcoin treasury strategy and they plan to buy $500 million of BTC. So just more companies putting this Bitcoin on their balance sheet, creating the Bitcoin treasury strategy. That strategy and Michael Saylor have started, and a lot of these companies are just following their playbook. And then the Bitcoin exchange reserves have been plummeting. The Bitcoin supply on exchanges has been absolutely just going down and down and down. And if this continues to happen, there's not going to be a lot of Bitcoin on exchanges. So they're going to have to raise their prices. There's a potential supply shock coming in the future. So we've been watching this for years now, and the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges continues to just slowly decline. Eventually, that could lead to a huge price shock for Bitcoin to the upside. And then pro-Bitcoin Tulsi Gabbard confirmed as the Director of National Intelligence. So just more Bitcoiners getting into the political scene. Tulsi Gabbard, she's a huge pro-Bitcoiner. Good to see her get the Director of National Intelligence. That is nothing but good for BTC. And I just wanted to check out this chart. If you look at where Bitcoin is right now and you compare it to the previous 4-year cycles, it's looking like Bitcoin is very similar to the 2015 to 2018 cycle with how it's taken this path here. And if it does follow the 2015 to 2018 cycle, we could expect Bitcoin to blast off over the next couple of months for probably the rest of the year if it does follow the 2015 to 2018 Bitcoin cycle. But let me know what you guys think. Are you a believer in the 4-year cycles? Do you think it's going to play out the same? Do you think Bitcoin is going to have a great rest of this year like we saw back in 2015, 2018, and all these other cycles previously? But there's a short clip I wanted to play for you guys. Really appreciate you watching all the way to the end. Like and subscribe. We have new content coming out every single day. Try our best to bring value every single day. Keep you guys up to date. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's go ahead and check out this clip here.
Everyone goes, Bitcoin is a bubble. It's tulips. The bubble in tulips in Amsterdam in 1630. Where is the centre of the global flower industry today? It is in Holland. The Netherlands has been the centre of the global flower industry for 400 years. That tulip bubble brought 400 years of prosperity to Amsterdam. So to call it tulips is actually a compliment, it's not an insult. And then you go, what is a bubble? Well, I'll tell you what a bubble is. A bubble is a bull market in which you don't have a position. It's a psychological way of justifying that you didn't invest in something to call it a bubble. So you can call it a bubble and you can dismiss it. But the potential of Bitcoin to be the default cash system of the internet and the default savings vehicle of the internet is so extraordinary, I would argue that the risk is not owning Bitcoin, the risk is not owning Bitcoin.